Before Kendrick's generation of rappers, mental health was very rarely discussed in lyrics. What were your initial thoughts about including hip hop in this course, and why was this the case?
I thought it was a very good idea to add hip hop to the course because many generations have, or most generations, or all generations have their own way of expressing themselves through music and their own genres of music they like to pick. And this generation's is like hip hop and rap. I want to say nothing like not everyone listens to hip hop and rap. It's not the main one, but a lot more people this generation do. And so I think adding that to the course was just like a big like, hey, I see you as like a student and like I see like what you guys are into and what you guys like. And so I'm gonna try and add that, and so maybe we can connect more to the class and connect more with Mr. Deal since he also likes the music. And I just thought my first impression of it was just that it was a really good idea and a really like cool thing to do.
I also liked going over it because I feel like his impact is definitely very visible in rap today, and just seeing the kind of start of bringing emotions into lyrics and all the impact Kendrick had, and just seeing it through his class and going and watching more of it and listening to more of his music on my own has been very interesting to me, and I'm glad it was part of this class.
Just to add to that, I also like the fact that I've listened personally to a lot of rap, and I know most of y'all as well have listened to rap, so it's kind of good to just see what kind of kick started off all the music and people being, or artists being able to open up about their mental illnesses.
Especially in like a genre that is rap. It is so heavily on like keeping up appearances. Thinking like, oh yeah, guys, look how cool I am. And then you have somebody like Kendrick who so obviously goes against that grain and just showcases the unique potential that he brings to the table.
I think that using Kendrick Lamar music for this class was really helpful in a way because it gave another creative outlet for heartbreak. It showed a new way to express the way you're feeling. And it doesn't have to be, through your writing or through art. It can also be through music and even through rap, which is a little unexpected to some people. So I thought that was really cool.
I don't know if it's just me, but I pay attention better when we're talking about something I'm interested in. And for this class, I mean, I never really listened to rap or Kendrick, but because it's more of a modern thing rather than like a book or a story or a movie, I wouldn't initially have any interest in talking about Kendrick in more of like a right there. That doesn't make sense. It made it easier to pay attention because it can be something that I'm interested in because it's not like super old and super boring. So it made it easier to grasp.
Yeah, to build on that, I feel like it definitely is more relatable when it's something that's so, like happening during our time, and it just makes you more motivated to deeper like dive deeper into it and really relate it to the topics we're discussing in class because we're just more intrigued, especially with Mr. Deal also being so into it. It just helps just keep us interested in.
Yeah, it's definitely better than like a history teacher going over something they care less about because there's emotion in even Mr. Deal talking about it. Like he's obviously very interested in it, and listening to somebody talk about something they're passionate about is a lot more interesting and like entertaining than listening to someone talk about something that they don't care about. So what Kendrick song that we did discuss in class, Swimming Pools, Sing About Me, You, I, Feel, or Fear, stood out to you most, and why so? Be specific.
Uh, I like the song for me that stood out the most was "Fear," just because the way it was like the way he built the song, the way he like sang, rap the song was just so intriguing to me because he has like three different people in the song. He is three different people. It's his 7-year-old self, his 17-year-old self, and then his 27-year-old self. And each one of them have their own different like fears and things that they're scared of. When he's 7, he's not like concerned about real big world problems or anything like that. He's like, oh, I can't, like, I have to eat this entire pizza or my mom's gonna beat me. Like, things like that. Or if I leave the house after my mom just beat me twice, she's gonna beat me again. And so he fears things like that at a young age. And that's obviously not a good thing for a child. And as he gets older, he gets to 17 years old, and in the song, he sounds like he has like a different cadence each time for like all three of the different years. And 17, he's very like monotone, very like depressed, like he's been through a lot, and he does kind of say that a lot in the song, or not a lot, but he mentions like looking over his shoulder, being scared of like dying, being scared for his friends dying. So definitely like more real world fears at that point in his life. But then once he's like 27, like the final kind of part of the song, he has grown up and he's finally been successful, and he doesn't really fear death, or he doesn't fear like his like finishing his food anymore. He fears like losing everything that he's gained, and like not being able to like give back to the people that were there from the start. Like fearing like the people from Compton would like hate him for not like being this like big flashy showy kind of person, because he likes to keep it all himself.
The song that stood out to me is You, because of the track sounds with a chorus where he's saying loving you is complicated, which clearly shows that he's having internal troubles. And then the chorus, right after it ends, he begins just saying all these negative things about him. For example, he says the world doesn't need you, don't let them deceive you. So he's struggling with how he's perceived by the public and how they view him, and it's taking a toll on him where he feels a responsibility to Compton, but he's not able to be physically there for them because he has to produce music, which is very interesting to me.
I just want to add on something like just to that song. The way like the song started off kind of to me felt like kind of like a nightmarish dream, because like the way like the I guess the beat or whatever comes in, it's very like when I hear it, what I imagine is like entering someone's mind and like just being like a bunch of like creepy like just like a bunch of like creepy stuff going on inside of their mind. It's just the way I envision the song.
Yeah, to build off that, I also thought You stood out the most to me, and it, especially after watching the music video, it just seemed like it had more of an impact of like, it just was um, this artistic like battle shown between himself and like him just fighting himself, throughout the lyrics and through the video, but he's also just, showing his struggle with like the world and how people perceive him and his influence on other people. And like part of the song, he talks about, not directly, but he's mentioning his sister getting pregnant, and he feels like that's his fault, and he's just kind of struggling with the guilt he feels from that as well, while also having guilt from how people are perceiving his music and how some people don't like that he's showing his emotions.
I agree. I also think the one that stood out to me the most was You, but obviously because it was so emotional and just a piece of work. But I think it's just more so the uniqueness. So I feel like Kendrick, like going back to what I said the first question, he really does bring something different to the table every album and just constantly, one up himself. Like for that album, it was You. You were talking about for Fear, and like on his most recent album, we didn't talk about it, but We Cry Together. Like nobody but Kendrick would be able to put his emotions on the track in such a way and still make it, listenable.
Didn't he get a Pulitzer Prize for one of his albums too?
That would not surprise me at all.
He did. I don't remember which one it was.
I think it was. Wasn't it Damn?
I don't. I think so. Yeah, and I think he was like the only rapper to ever receive a Pulitzer award or something like that. I can just. I'll talk about another song just because we don't talk about it too. But "Sing About Me." I like the song because it was also. It's kind of like Fear. Well, not kind of. It is like Fear, where it's got like different people in it, three different parts. But this time, it's not himself in three different parts. It's like different people. It's like the first one is his friend, the second one is a prostitute, and then the third one is his own. And I like the way he just like he can just have a kind of like three different songs almost in one song. He like because he'll be like telling the story from his friend and how his like how Kendrick sees his friend seeing him, and then how the prostitute, the girl, I think she was friends with I I can't remember exactly what it was, but she was friends with like Keisha, and he made a song about her, like the Section 80 song or whatever. Can't remember if that was the name of it, but like he has her part in the song, and then he finally comes back to like himself and like what he like. It's like he tells the story, and then at the end of the songs, he comes in himself as he is now, and like kind of wraps it all up. And I think that's really interesting about just the way he goes about singing his songs and constructing them.
To add on that, I think that it's himself building himself into the story. So he's a part of that community because that's where he grew up. And so he's seen everything, and he's been there with his friends, and he's seen all the girls have to deal with all the problems that they had to face in this community, and he was there. And so he's telling his story through their story to kind of bring that sense of, I am part of this. This is where I grew up. This is what I am from. This is what I was escaping. And so it's just cool to see how he ties it all together.
I want to briefly talk about swimming pools because it's the one that I preferred out of all of them. I don't know if it's just me. It's not like a super deep meaning, and I don't remember Fear or the song Feel, so I don't know if it was just swimming pools or not, but swimming pools to me sounded like the one song where the beat and the rhythm of the lyrics matched the beat of the song the best. Like his vocal delivery lined up really nicely with the sound of like all of the other background instruments and whatnot. Like it worked together the best in my opinion. Even if it wasn't like I don't know if it's other songs either. Like I haven't heard other songs, but swimming pools to me sounded
They just
the
flow
best.
together.
Yes. Obviously, rappers mainly focus on lyrics and lyrical delivery. What element other than lyrics do you think stood out most about Kendrick's songs? Why do you think this is the case? Be specific.
I want to just go and talk about his like perspectives in a song. He always has different people as perspectives in a lot of his songs, and along with that is paired. You know, he has different beats for different people and different just instrumentals, and I think those together just really paint a picture and let you feel the emotions he's trying to portray those people are feeling through their perspective. Because he's not only using the lyrics, he's also using just like I said, the beat and the music with it to just kind of paint these emotions for these characters.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I was like, I've already kind of said it a few times with like the just like three different people, like the way he puts that together, but also the way he like kind of adds. I wouldn't say sound effects, but I mean that's kind of what they are. Like at the end of, I can't remember what song it is, but there at the end of one of his songs, there's like I think it's supposed to be like a lady or maybe just a friend, someone calling him, and like he's rapping this, but you can hear that she's like, I can't believe you didn't do this, or I can't believe you're not like doing this, basically saying like why won't you come do stuff for us, like his people like back in Compton. He's like, it's like this person saying, why won't you come do stuff for us, but you can tell that she's like obviously drunk because you can hear like glass and or you can hear ice like hitting the glass and everything, and like you can hear like gulp, and like I think he also says like kind of in the song like, I think she says like, oh, I'm messed up right now. But I just think like his way of adding sound effects and like painting the picture with the sound effects is very like a very cool thing that he does.
He does it quite often too, because he did it in he did it in swimming pools. So I just think that he brings into all of these different elements.
Yeah. Just to add to that, also a lot of his songs start with just the beat playing, and it kind of sets the tone of kind of what emotions he's feeling, and then you really get to understand what he's truly feeling by his vocal deliveries. Like y'all said, a bunch of the different aspects, like you said, a bunch of the background noises and everything, all kind of stir like it's a pot, and all these different emotions are ingredients. And then it kind of builds a picture of he's not just struggling with one thing, he's struggling with multiple things at once.
Kendrick's music videos can offer new insight into his music. Your group should watch one of the videos above and discuss it with regard to brokenheartedness. What specific scenes, details, characters, angles, settings stand out, and why?
I like the music video because, well, the music video and the song, because like the song is very upbeat, but the lyrics and like what he's trying to get across is like we need to like kind of like I would say chill out in a way. And
We're
like
talking about I, right? The music video for I.
Yeah, I think that was.
yeah. I'm like,
Sorry, just making sure I wasn't sure.
Yeah. But the music video itself, what like kind of stuck out to me one part in particular, this is just one thing that for some reason stuck in my head. He was walking out of the club initially, and there was a guy like sitting next to, I don't think it was a car, I think it was just a regular car, and he was like drinking out of like a bottle with a bag around it, and he kind of like he drank it and then like I think he kind of looked at it and he like sideways like looked at the bottle sideways, kind of like, oh, this really isn't like doing anything for me, you know what I mean? Like he's like, I drank, I got drunk, it didn't do anything for me though, like I don't feel any type of way about it. And I feel like that's kind of what the whole like music video in a way was about, because it was like at the beginning everyone was dancing on each other, and like it was kind of in the setting where you would assume alcohol and drugs and everything, but Kendrick just comes in with this like upbeat song and there's just dancing, like doing his own thing pretty much. And then everyone sees him doing that, and then they all join along, and everyone just like starts following him, and like everyone is just like, okay, this guy's got something about it. This guy's got an aura around him. And like everyone wants to follow him. Everyone wants to be like upbeat and happy and not have to rely on all these other like other people and other substances to make them happy. They just want to do it themselves. That's kind of what I got from the music video.
Then something I find interesting about the video is it starts in the club where Kendrick is sitting down, and then it ends almost in the exact scene. He's sitting down, but now he's by himself. So all this chaotic stuff's happening around him, but he can't escape it, and he just ends up in the same spot. And then also throughout the video, the setting keeps changing, but in every setting, there's at least one negative. For example, there was a guy where they were walking down the street, and then Kendrick glances through a window, and there's a guy about to commit suicide. So it shows that no matter where he is, there's always something negative that he's having troubles with.
I interpreted those two scenes as, starting in the club and then ending in the same spot as like the two sides of them. The side he's, trying to portray to others, and the side that like he really is, he's trying to portray him as like himself as like fun, and he wants to like like go out and party and do all these things, but like deep inside he wants to just have a calm ending or a calm like self, doesn't want to be influenced by these things.
And I think this music video really mimics the storyline of the entire album, because it talks like the album "To Pimp a Butterfly" is about his experiences with America and giving him fame. So like at the beginning when he is dancing in this club, he's getting famous, and then the pimp comes to see him in the car, which is America throughout the entire album, and he is riding through along with it, uh, and he's like hanging out the car window, acting all high and stuff. So he's like on that euphoria of fame, and then as you were saying at the end when he's left alone, and it just takes the story of the entire album and puts it into one song and one music video, and I think it was just a really cool way of tying it all together.
I think that the music video also in a way was representative of his life, because he started off in the streets of living in Compton, in that community where everything was bad and crazy and so full of drugs and alcohol that people didn't think they had an escape, and so that's what they chose to do. And when he chose to leave the bar or the club, he was basically leaving Compton behind and entering into this era of writing music, getting famous, getting out of Compton. And all throughout the music video, like those scenes where he's walking past those bad moments, those could be like flashbacks from moments that he was experiencing back in Compton, or like things that he's seen outside of Compton, but he doesn't feel that they're as bad as in Compton. And so when he's sitting by himself at the end, it's like he's finally come to a resting place where he's not crowded out with the drugs, the alcohol, and all the negativity, but he still feels it. So it's like I was there, but I'm still mentally there. Like it's not gone.
One thing I noticed in the music video, it was near the middle, a little closer to the end of the middle of the video, I guess. It's the only part where there's sunlight and they're on a roof having a party, and I don't know if I missed it, but I didn't see anything negative in that clip in particular, but there was negative before and after. It was like that one part of the video where there wasn't really anything negative, and it was the only time where there was sunlight, because immediately after that it went back to the middle of the night. Like,
It was kind of like it was like a build up to like a euphoric feeling, maybe like
Yeah.
because you could see him kind of like when he was walking to the street and walking past all like the bad things you were talking about, like the dude trying to like kill himself, and also there were, I think right before that he walked past like a father trying to beat the mother of like the children, and the children were right there, and the children were like they like walked out of the fence like onto the street with Kendrick, I think, and like kind of started to follow him, and like the dude who was gonna kill himself he was about to do it, and then Kendrick walked by, and right when he did, right when he saw Kendrick and saw all this like euphoric happiness, he was like, maybe I don't need to, maybe I don't need to do this. And I think what you were saying with them being on the rooftop was like kind of like the finale of like this is like the most euphoric, and then it can just kind of fall off after that.
In class, we didn't get to discuss Kendrick's most recent album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Pick one song, United in Grief, Father Time, or Mother I Sober, from this album and discuss it with regard to the theme of the course, brokenheartedness. What stood out about this song, lyric, vocal delivery, tempo, speed, instruments, song structure, dynamics. Why did the why did this particular element stand out to you? Be specific.
I like Mother I'm Sober because it was kind of like talking about breaking the cycle, and like I feel like that's a big like thing with Kendrick is breaking the cycle because he obviously grew up in Compton and like grew up in this bad place surrounded by all these bad things, and he was doing drugs from a young age, and so he wanted to get out of that. Like obviously everyone wants to get out of that, and like another thing just to kind of correlate with this, like all like every time in a song he talks about like people calling him and being like why don't you do enough for us? Why don't you do anything for us? I feel like that kind of like circles back to like breaking the cycle because it's like it's like those people don't want it, like they want to break the cycle but they don't want to do anything about it. They just want to ask Kendrick for stuff. They just want to ask like, oh, Kendrick's from my hometown, or like I knew Kendrick for 5 minutes when he was younger, he should like owe me something. I feel like a lot of people feel like that. And then also there's like they talk about sexual abuse and just like things like that in the song, and it's just like he talks about that a lot in like other songs too, but it's just like he like really wants to like hammer home the fact of just breaking the cycle. I feel like that's what this song is mainly about.
What I chose was United in Grief, and I chose this because this is the first song I heard of Kendrick's, like before this class, before anything, and this really introduced me to him, and I really enjoyed the song a lot. And what really stands out to me is like the tempo of the song feels to me as if it's like him spilling out all of his emotions and what he feels, and I feel like the tempo really matches that and just kind of allows him to express himself, and I just really enjoyed that part of the song.
The song Father Time is a song that I chose to listen to because I enjoyed it. Not only because it showed how Kendrick was influenced also by his family and his father, because his father was tough on him, but he had to be because the area that he was growing up in. And he's saying that he had daddy issues, but there's still a silver lining because that made him who he is today. And he wouldn't be where he is today if he wasn't raised that way to live through Compton.
Does Kendrick's music connect to anything else from the class? Why or why not?
I mean, it's kind of like, I guess a cop out to say this, but just like Amy Winehouse and just like kind of her whole thing with like she has problems with like drugs. She has problems with like drugs and everything, and I wouldn't say Kendrick really has a problem with drugs, but they both kind of like the way they go about their music and express themselves in their music is very, I wouldn't say similar, but it's just, I guess the fact that they both do it and they both kind of, and I wouldn't say they have similar backstory, they really don't, but just the fact that it's like drugs and like relationships and all these things kind of correlate like together, I feel like kind of just correlate the two.
Yeah, I feel like they relate in the sense that while not Kendrick did go through experiences, he's never really had any addictions to that I'm aware of. But it just seemed he's always been around it and he's always been involved in it. While Amy, on the other hand, was the one taking part in it and being directly involved in it instead of being this outside observer, which Kendrick seemed to be more of. So I think that kind of could relate them. in that way, and why they are able to produce, similar musics of expressing emotions is because they've been involved in this, even though they've been involved in different ways. It both, results in them having this, emotional music and this just way of portraying their emotions, not just through their lyrics, but through like just their instrumentals and their vocal delivery and tempo.
And I feel like they also almost like they're similar in the way that they also have like more upbeat instrumentals while having very heavy and emotional lyrics.
Yeah.
Like Swimming Pools was played in the club and was talking about how much clubbing hurts you and drinking and all that. But like the instrumental was so upbeat that people, if you're not listening to it, you just think it's a normal party song. And same with some of the songs we talked about in class with Amy Winehouse. I remember people talking about how like if they were just listening to it, it just sounds like a song, like a pop song from the 50s to 60s that people would groove to. And I think that way of having it really makes the message get across more, because you're like, if you just listen to it as a normal song, you don't get it. But then like once you listen to it, you get it.
I think the best example of that is Swimming Pools, like you said, and Rehab. Like Rehab has a very upbeat, like very pop music feel to it. But then you look at the song and it's like not.
Yeah.
Like it's similar to Swimming Pools in the way where like there's a lot of shit going on. And they both just kind of had to live through it. But you couldn't tell just by listening to the song without like looking at the lyrics and analyzing it.
And I feel like it almost takes a certain level of like emotional maturity to be able to put, such deep messages into a upbeat, peppy song.
I really liked what you said about the whole like they both make music where if you just listen to it, I'm not gonna say every Kendrick song, but a lot of his songs, and also Amy, you listen to the song, and if you're not listening to the lyrics, you're listening to it, and you're like, yeah, like, this is a nice song, like I enjoy this song, it's cool. But then if you want to, you can get into the song and listen to the lyrics and kind of realize, oh wow, like these people are really like telling a story, like they're trying to talk to us in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good point.
Building on that, it also reminded me just now of like Vincent van Gogh's painting with the flowers, how some of the flowers look dead, but the painting was like very bright and vivid yellow, showing emotions of happiness, but truly, if the flowers represented kind of like struggles, like
it's like listening to the music isn't the same as actually listening to what the words are saying. And seeing the happiness in Vincent van Gogh's painting isn't seeing the pain that he was going through. So we see people cover up what they're really feeling. And other people, maybe when they're listening to the music or looking at the painting, they ignore that, when really they can tell that it's there if they really paid attention. And so it kind of shows how people need to listen or pay closer attention to what other people are going through, because they might be going through something that can help go through something that's similar if you just listen to what they're saying, and like you can know that you're not going through it alone. Like it's a community inside of the hidden inside the lyrics and the
like a little community inside of a bigger community.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. You can't. It's the same way with you can't just glance at the painting when you walk by, and you won't really understand it. You have to really sit there and interpret it. In the same way, you have to listen to a song more than just once. The first listen through, you're not really gonna get the message. You got to just keep listening to it and just really think about it.
I know it's not the same genre, not even the same artist, but the bands and stuff that I listen to, I've been listening to them for 6-7 years, and there's still songs today where I'm like, oh, that's what that means. Like, and a lot of them are heavy too, but like you really have to look in the lyrics and know the history and the past of the people making the music to understand all of it. Kendrick's music is the newest addition to this curriculum. Do you think Professor Deal should continue to use Kendrick as an example of brokenheartedness and or depression in future semesters? Why or why not?
I think he should. I think it's good just because it's more like it's easier for students to connect to it. I feel like I know that there are people that listen to Amy Winehouse and she does make good music, but when you're like teaching like a bunch of 20-year-olds in college and like or around 20 years old, a lot more of them are going to listen to like rap and hip hop and know Kendrick. And when they hear like, oh, we're going to be learning about Kendrick, like they'll want to come to class and be like, I'd like to see what he has to say, or and just like, or they may just want to show up to class because they just want to learn more about him because they don't like they know his music, but they don't know a lot about him. And I feel like we do learn a lot about him in the class. So I think it was a very good addition.
Yeah, like what I said earlier about it being interesting and like being something that you're actually interested in and wanting to go, it makes a lot more people come to class to pay attention and actually learn about the topic at hand.
I just like how Professor Deal structured his class, where he showed how you can see depression, mental illness, and brokenheartedness through different scopes. So we saw it through a literature perspective by reading the Nick Adams stories, where we saw his struggles. And then we saw it through a painting, which I don't really look at paintings. So it's interesting because now when I see a painting, I kind of think of this class like, oh, what's the deeper meaning in this painting? Because when I see a painting, I just see a painting. I don't think about what different colors mean, how they contrast together. And then the same with music. I consume like 90% of my music in the gym, and then I'm not really focused on the music. So this class has really opened my eyes to pay more attention to how the artist expresses himself and what they're actually trying to tell a story. Because what this class has taught me is there's always an underlying story to any creative work.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because I'm in the same boat where I almost exclusively listen to music in the gym, and I just never sat there and interpreted it, and just going over it like, lyric by lyric in class and going over Kendrick's works in class really, opened my mind as well to, these deeper meanings and what like build up has to happen for someone to create a certain song, trying to portray a certain emotion, what they had to go through in order, for that to happen.
I think having it spread out through so different many genres, like you were talking about earlier with the painting stuff, is that it gives like you know that common thread of being human, and these are all like, human experiences, and it just transcends any different type of one form of artistic medium, and just really uh, brings everything together.
I think it's a good way of tying music to story, because it's the story of Kendrick's life, but he puts it in his music so we can see brokenheartedness in his life because of his music. And I feel like it's really important to include that in the class, because then we get to see somebody's brokenheartedness through their story, but also through their music. And I think that's really helpful.